Don't forget to press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. My body was placed in a golden coffin made in the shape of a human, and this coffin was in turn placed in a gold sarcophagus. Some texts indicate that a fortune teller named Aristander predicted that the country in which my body would be buried will know happiness all its days, and no one will be able to invade and conquer it. It is possible that each of my successors viewed the acquisition of my body as an act that legitimized their own succession, especially since the current king's burial of the previous king was seen as conclusive proof of his right to the throne. While my funeral procession was traveling from Babylon to Macedonia, Ptolemy confronted them, blocked the road, and diverted the route to Memphis, the capital of Egypt, where my body was embalmed and buried. His successor, Ptolemy II, transported the coffin to Alexandria, where it remained until just before the beginning of the Middle Ages. Ptolemy IX, one of the last successors of Ptolemy I, transferred my mummy from the golden coffin to another coffin made of glass, so that he could melt the first and mint coins from its liquid. The Roman leaders Pompey, Julius Caesar, and Augustus Caesar all visited my shrine. It is said that the latter accidentally pulled out the nose, and Julius Caesar is said to have cried when he reached the 33rd year, saying that despite all his achievements he had not achieved the glory I had achieved at that age. It was also said that the Roman Emperor Caligula tore off the breastplate from a mummy and kept it for himself. Emperor Septimius Severus closed my tomb to the public in 200 AD, and his son Caracalla, an ardent admirer of mine, visited my grave during his reign. After this era passed, the evidence and text talking about the shrine began to diminish little by little until they became extremely rare, until its location and fate became among the historical matters that are currently shrouded in fog. The late writer Abis Mahmud al-Akkad tried to explain the reasons behind the existence of a mystery regarding the burial place of Alexander the Great. In his book Diary, al-Akkad says that there was a luxurious mausoleum built in Alexandria to bury Alexander, and this mausoleum was known as the Soma, meaning the body. This shrine was located within the walls of the royal city, which contained the Ptolemaic palaces and the tombs of princes and princesses, both of them and others. And it also included the building of the university known as the Museum. In the book Egypt Under the Rule of the Ptolemies, Auden Bevan referred to accounts confirming the burial of Alexander the Great in the city of Memphis. Bevan believes that the story that the remains remained for 40 years in the cemeteries of the city of Memphis is exaggerated, and that it is most likely that Ptolemy I was the one who transported the remains to the great shrine of Alexandria. As for archaeologist Dr. Zahi Hawass, he expressed his belief that the tomb of Alexander the Great will one day be found under ancient houses in the city of Alexandria. Hawass asserts that all evidence indicates that Alexander was buried there and nowhere else, and that the tomb will be found during excavations or by chance. Thus, the mystery of the burial place of Alexander the Great remains a topic that occupies minds, and research and excavation continue in an attempt to reach the truth buried under the ruins of ancient Alexandria. Don't forget to press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Scholars have differed opinions about the personality of Dhul-Qarnayn. Some of them believe that he is Cyrus the Great, one of the Persian kings. Those who support Cyrus as Dhul-Qarnayn believed that there are many similarities between them, including that his conquests spread in the east and west, as Cyrus' conquests extended to Syria and Asia Minor in the west and to Sind in the east, and his kingdom extended to the Caucasus in the north. In addition, Cyrus was a good monotheist, as Ezra asserts that he was a god-worshipper and a god-fearing king, who freed the Israelites and ordered the rebuilding of Solomon's temple to worship God. On the other hand, opponents of this opinion believe that the character of Cyrus the Great does not fit the image that the Quran painted of Dhul-Qarnayn as a faithful, mujahid leader who fights in the name of God. Cyrus was also never called Dhul-Qarnayn, and Cyrus was a Zoroastrian, according to monuments and inscriptions dating back to his era, and there is no evidence of his monotheism. There are also Islamic monuments indicating that Dhul-Qarnayn is a descendant of Othman, and that his name is Abdullah bin Al-Dahab bin Mad bin Othman. It was narrated on the authority of Ibn Abbas that he said, Dhul-Qarnayn is Abdullah bin Al-Dahab bin Mad, the jurist of Medina, Abu Salama bin Abidi al-Rahman bin Awf, mentioned that Al-Dahab ibn Mad fathered two men, Abdullah bin Al-Dahab, who was Dhul-Qarnayn. This saying is also attributed to Ali bin Abi Talib. There are also some Islamic monuments attributed to the companions and followers, indicating that Dhul-Qarnayn was one of the kings of Himyar, and the successive kings of Himyar had titles that contained the letter Du, such as Du-Nuwas al-Himyari, King Soif bin Diyazin, King Duran al-Himyari, King Aymar du-Gamdam, and others. Many, Ibn Hisham, mentioned in his book Al-Tijan, but not definitively that Dhul-Qarnayn was one of the kings of Himyar. Abu al-Rayyan al-Biruni also mentioned this in his book Al-Afa al-Bakiyya min al-Qurun al-Bakiyya, and this statement was confirmed by Nashwan al-Himyari in his book Shams al-Ula, and the book A Summary of the Comprehensive Biographies of the Wonders of the News of Successive Kings. A number of historians denied these statements, and stated that the poems that mention Dhul-Qarnayn and that he was from Himyar are not supported, and they may have been written after Islam, and that the reports about the kings of Himyar are more like fabricated stories, and there is no strong evidence for them. Hamdi bin Hamza Abu Zaid, a member of the Saudi Shura Council, believes in his book Unlocking the Secrets of Dhul-Qarnayn and Gog and Magog that Dhul-Qarnayn is none other than Akhenaten, that pharaonic king who called for monotheism. As for Alexander the Great, some Muslim historians believe that there is a similarity between the story of Alexander the Great and the story of Dhul-Qarnayn, while most Islamic religious scholars reject this, considering that Alexander the Great was not a good believer like Dhul-Qarnayn. The biggest inference by historians is that Alexander had ram's horns on his head on most coins, and that he conquered both the east and the west. The Iranian historian Abu al-Fadl al-Bolami says, they called Alexander Dhul-Qarnayn because he reached from one century to another, and the corners of the world are called the century. One of the corners is the place where the sun rises, and the other corner is the place where the sun sets. Each corner separately is called a horn, and they are called two centuries together. God Almighty called him in the Quran Dhul-Qarnayn, Al-Qarnayn. While most Islamic religious scholars deny this, they cite several pieces of evidence, including that Alexander was not a monotheist, and that the time of Alexander the Great was different from the time of Dhul-Qarnayn. So Ibn Kathir al-Dimashqi states that there were more than 2,000 years between their times. The third difference is that Alexander was from Greece, and Dhul-Qarnayn was from Arabs. A number of Muslim scholars also believe that Dhul-Qarnayn was in the time of Abraham. Al-Azraqi and Ibn Kathir al-Dimashqi mention that Dhul-Qarnayn converted to Islam at the hands of Abraham and circumambulated the Kaaba with him along with Ismail. In the end, scholars disagreed about the personality of Alexander the Great and his relationship with Dhul-Qarnayn, but we can only say that knowledge is with God. Don't forget to press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell button to receive all new updates.